adopting a peaceful attitude. In that time, when they were telling you that your religion is false, your prophet is false, and your Quran is false, how could you regard that as a friendly gesture on the part of people? So Ahmed Deedat quite rightly met an aggression with an aggression. And in the time that we're talking about, he was probably misunderstood for many reasons. At any one time, it was his father, it was his brother Abdullah, and I wish he was sitting here so that I could tell him in front of his face, with a group called the Al-Mujaddid. It was the ulama, and it was Shuyukh in the Cape. It was Makki, and it was Pir Bhai. And it was a lot of other Muslims, business people especially, who didn't want to rock the boat. All of them, all together, opposing Ahmed Deedat. Leave the Christians one side. All of these people, all at one time, opposing Ahmed Deedat. What a man that he could stand up for what he believed, face all of this, and fight and fight and fight. So the first thing that I remember about Ahmed Deedat is that he was a fighter. He was a man who was committed to the jihad for Islam in the best way that he saw it. There's a rhetorical question that I want to ask you. When you go to the Arab world, whether it's the clerk in the hotel, the sweeper on the street, the cook in the hotel, the airline pilot, or the president of the country, as soon as you say South Africa, they'll say Ahmed Deedat. Do you know Ahmed Deedat? And you ask yourself, well, how did this man touch them, and why did he touch them? Because they didn't have a Christian problem. They don't have a Christian problem in the Arab world, although there are Coptic Christians in Egypt and a few in Syria and Lebanon and Jordan. But there was no Christian problem. But almost without exception, from Morocco to Syria, if you mentioned South Africa, they would ask you Ahmed Deedat. How did this man touch all these people, and why did he touch all of these people? I don't really know the answer, but I need you to reflect on it. What was it about him? He wasn't fighting the Christians in the Arab world, but he was certainly a person that they recognized, for whatever reason, as their champion. Probably more well known than any other Muslim in the world. Commonly known by almost all of the Arab people. And yet they have no Christian problem. So it's a question that we need to ask, and we need to find out why, and we need to really understand the impact that he has made on their lives. Well, the way I see it is that, and this is a thing that we all need to reflect on, that he touched the lives of all those millions and millions of Arabs, is because they are so oppressed. They have no freedom. There is no such thing as this organization in any Arab country. You will not believe it that you cannot have such a gathering in any Arab country. There are no Islamic organizations in any Arab country. It's outlawed, it's banned. And they see these things as being masterminded by people from the outside, neo-colonialism, those that want to keep the military dictators and the reactionary monarchies in power, those that continue to dominate their lives through the proxies that they have. And here Ahmed Deedat goes to the capitals of the Western world. He goes to London and Paris and New York, stands up and challenges the Western arrogance, challenges them and humiliates them, challenges them and defeats them, challenges their arrogance and destroys the foundation of their civilization. And that is what they saw as a person, a modern day Salahuddin born, raising the flag of Islam in the capitals of the Western world. And that is what they, I think, identified with, that here is a Muslim who has the courage to go out and to present the truth of Islam to this world, to the arrogant West. Because of their oppression, because they have no freedom, they identified with him as a symbol of their freedom. There may be other views on this, but it's something worth thinking about. In looking at the glimpses in the life of Ahmed Deedat, I would like you to just for 1 minute focus on where he came from, what was the environment in which he grew, where was the inspiration. If I remember as a child growing up, I had no idea of the word dawah. It was non-existent. This word dawah was never heard. I have yet to hear ulama speak from the minbar about dawah. The responsibility when you claim that al-ulama warathatul anbiya, I'm not here to criticize the ulama, you're saying that you are the true inheritors of the prophets, then the first function of the prophet was dawah. And you never heard it. You still don't hear it. At a time when this word was not known to us, at a time when it was something that was foreign, Ahmed Deedat and those that were around him took up this challenge of dawah and presenting Islam to the people. So we should understand the circumstance. Today we have so many organizations that are doing the work. But at that time, there was just no atmosphere. The environment was not conducive to dawah because it was a stranger to us. It was unknown to us. And as a consequence, what they gave to the dawah, they gave almost as if they were doing the person who came there as a beggar, they were giving him some crumbs. There was no commitment to the dawah. So not only was there opposition from the ulama, opposition from all those who felt that we shouldn't rock the boat, that we shouldn't attack the Christians, there was also a paucity of funds. He had to go from door to door collecting so little. If somebody had 100 rands to give a year in zakat or whatever, 95 rand would be committed to everything else, and the 5 rand may be committed to dawah. And from that 5 rand, Pir Bhai wanted his share, Makki wanted his share, Deedat wanted his share. So they were all the time at each other's throats, trying to get the biggest share of the smallest crumb. And that is the circumstances in which Ahmed Deedat was growing up. But just reflecting a little bit more, just beyond that a little bit, in which environment and what was there at the time of Ahmed Deedat. Well, I want to talk to you about 1942, when as a young man in his early 20s, he gave his first lecture on the life of the Prophet Muhammad at Avalon Cinema, as a young man, 21 or something like that, and he gave his talk on the life of the Prophet. At that time, he hadn't quite confronted the Christians, he hadn't quite met their challenges, but his love for the Prophet made him go out into a cinema to deliver a talk, a young man. He paid for the pamphlet himself, he advertised himself, and he called the late A.I. Kaji to chair that session. Why am I saying this? Because had the Christians not been there, Ahmed Deedat would still have been there. He was a fighter. He was a person who was ready to commit himself and to do the work of dawah. So if the Christian problem was not there, he was still a fighter for Islam. And when I looked at why, and I asked people that knew him why he selected the topic of the life of the Prophet, then I learnt about his father. His father belonged loosely to a group known as Ashik Rasul, translation of which means the lovers of the Prophet. When I think about those who claim that they love the Prophet today, I think about his father. If you didn't say that you were an Ashik Rasul, the guy would probably take out his dagger and kill you. They felt so strongly about you being an Ashik Rasul, the lover of the Prophet. This is the loose term in which Ahmed Deedat's father was committed to, as an Ashik Rasul. And Ahmed Deedat grew up in the shadow of that philosophy of Ashik Rasul. We are trying to write something on the life of the Prophet of Ahmed Deedat, and in asking people what they knew about Ahmed Deedat and his early life,